much better. It's much better. All right. We're live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, where anybody and everybody that's watching this show might be. I must say, it's not an emergency. It's not an emergency show because regularly every Sunday around this time, I go to a meeting. That meeting is very prominent. But again, because of I got a call from one or two places, and also one of my guests tonight, eminent Nigerian High Chief, Yoruba High Chief, Egba High Chief. So called me, and as we are talking, the couple of things that is going on in his mind, and he wants us to talk about it. And I said that's fine. I'm happy. And for me, it is my pleasure again having Chief Saint Kunle Showunmi. Don't worry, he's standing up and sitting down. Don't worry again. I always have one or two things before my show begins. And I say to people, this is also part of the show. So, am I worried? Now, look, this is an Egba chief that I know. Before you are like, you have to be Egba chief. So
I'm
you have
very glad.
so I want to welcome Chief Saint Kunle Showunmi, and also from London, where Chief Saint Kunle Showunmi is based in the USA. I'm going to get him to introduce himself in a minute, and also have joining me in the studio also is Shegun Daniel, a global affair commentator and analyst. You must have seen him a couple of times on my show. I think I can tell you that you're going to get one of the best analysis tonight. We try to make it not more than 1.5 hours. That 1.5 hours messages we may have, we may want to introduce to the populace, to the people of Nigeria and Yoruba in particular, must have an impact. So let's get started. Let me start with my guest from the USA. Can you? I know you are a high chief. You are Bada. You see, when I was writing Bada, traditionally some people say Babalu. No, I know when I get this man, he will introduce to me. I've known him for years. He's been a wonderful brother and a friend, and we come a long way. So let me get him to introduce himself. Alagba Saint, can you introduce yourself to our friends and family, viewers all over the world? And while we are doing that, I'll be busy inviting people so they can get the message and then click in. And so go ahead, Mr. Chief, because that is also very important. I learned that lesson. Do not
Uh,
call a high chief Mr. Not that he's going to get angry, but chief. Over to you.
thank you very much for Otunba for having me on this your program. I think I'm here about 2 or 3 times.
More than that, though.
Yes, about that.
So if I want to start charging money, so don't
I
just make it
know.
2 or 3 times. So like,
Thank you
go on,
very
sir.
much. I am Bada Taishi of Egbalan. Bada means Akin,
Hey,
and Akin means Bada in Egba
okay.
language. So when you hear Bada, it means Akin, Bada Taishi. I'm also the chairman of Egba Heritage Foundation in Abeokuta, and we are doing a lot of things to improve the historical stuff of the Egbas. We have discovered that when you come to Abeokuta, all you want to see the Olumo Rock. There are other 15 rocks that people should see. And one of them is Igemo Rock, which we've just developed into a tourist place for people to come over and see. And we fixed so many things in the Egba history, and we are working on it in so many areas. So we're working towards the unity of the Egba and all the 4 Egba group, Egba, Ake, Bagura, OU, and Okeono. We're trying to put everybody together to understand that the unity is very important. And then with that, that makes me to travel more to Nigeria to see things. And I've done so many things, but for the purpose of this occasion, let's just limit it to what we want to discuss so that I don't take too much of your time and all the viewers. Thank you.
Thank you for the short. That's very short. That's fine. Because if I allow you to continue with the introduction, I know
Yeah.
you as an author. I know you that you have written extensively about Nigeria and some other areas. That might we might need 1 hour to go through that. So let me
Yes,
move.
sir.
Let me ask Shegun Daniel to introduce himself, even though you're also known on this program uh, as a regular.
Good evening, viewers. Good evening, host Otunba, and good evening, Chief Barda. Uh, um, my name is Kevin Daniel. I'm a strategic manager. I have extensive knowledge of economics, law, philosophy, as well as politics. So uh, I'm happy to be on this program tonight, and I want to assure the female viewers to have a lovely evening listening to most of our deliberate.
Thank you very much, and I'm also very pleased to have both of you. Again, like I said, you're my regular, and it's a thing of joy for me because calling you, asking you to come back and again is because I have a lot to gain from you, and most especially from most of your analysis. Let's start with what is trending in Europe. Uh, Let me start with Shegun Daniel because uh, both of us are in the UK. What do you want to say to people listening and watching this program now about the war going on? Because it's becoming like protracted, the war going on in Ukraine. What have you got to say? What exactly? Some know what cause and causes of the war standpoint from your Russia because it was Russia that started it. Some people started it. Some people might not know the cause of a problem. You say, òun ló kọ́kọ́ gba létí, he first slapped him. But the truth of the matter is, he must have been seriously provoked. But don't let me preempt that. Can you tell us just within 2 minutes what and what do you think start where and where are we going?
Well, I actually think that this war had been in the offing for some time, particularly from the NATO angle. NATO have, over the years, shown an interest in expanding its frontier to cover many other countries in Europe that is as close to the borders with Russia. However, consistently, Russia too have shown indication that they will not accept such move. Eventually, with the turn of event that happens in Ukraine, being a sovereign nation, and being hyped on by the United States, um, they made an effort to get into the NATO bloc, as well as the EU. We all agree that yes, as a sovereign nation, they have right to decide on the course of action the nation they would like to take, given that if the government or those who are administering the country can sell such ideas to the populace. However, certain facts must be taken into consideration, particularly the geopolitics. That went on until Russia probably felt, well, they need to carry out their own plan. I think the problem there was Russia had a plan which the West did not possibly understand. It is the intention of the West that in invading Ukraine, Russia will probably take over the country. Unfortunately, I think President Putin had another thing coming. The first time he invaded Ukraine, he took only part of it, which is Crimea. Eventually, when the southern part of the nation, or the eastern part, which is in the Donbass, decided to break away from Ukraine, he lent his force to support them. That shows that his intention was to balkanize the nation, not necessarily to take Ukraine as a whole nation. And I think that is coming from the backdrop of any nation that is so fragile like that cannot be a member of NATO. So I think in the West, we have the calculation that Russia wants to control Ukraine. But with the turn of events, I actually feel Russia just needed a destabilized Ukraine so that it can be a buffer zone for it not to enjoy the NATO support or whatever. On the Western side, I think it was a strategic move to use Ukraine as a pawn. Because if you have seen how the outcome have been in the past few months, Ukraine has been devastated, it has been plundered, it has lost substantial number of troops and its civilian population. However, two countries stood out, Sweden and Finland, without necessarily shooting any shots, no gunshots, nothing whatsoever. They are enjoying access to be members of NATO, which is what Ukraine wants, and Ukraine is making the ultimate sacrifice for it. Whereas those who did not shoot one gun are now into that NATO. That calls for a strategic thinking that Ukraine has succeeded in having itself used as a pawn. The interest of the West is achieved, which is to expand the NATO membership. They've succeeded in having 2 more members into it, though it's not finally confirmed, but with all indication that will be done. So that means the strategic plan was to expand eastward, which brought in those 2 nations. Whereas Ukraine, that started it all, was just used as a game changer in having that end. So my view of it is this. I think Ukraine has been the worst of it. One, the report in the West, particularly our media, I don't know, human life is more important to me. I don't think we should be celebrating how people are killed or crying foul when people are killed. It should be of our interest to make sure that we do not generate a situation where we keep losing people's lives, deliberately particularly, because war is a choice. It's a decision made by men to decide to engage in killing one another. So if we decide that we want to prosecute this war, even if it is unwarranted or unprovoked, and it is Russia that brought it to the borders of Ukraine, efforts will have been made earlier to negotiate it out. But since we did not do that, and we're continuing and we're empowering Ukraine to go on in the world, showing to the world how many people Russia have plundered, killed, to me, it's a wrong narrative. You do not expect that in a war people will not be killed. You do not expect that in a war buildings will not be shattered. So when the West press public all this kind of a thing, it annoys my sentiment that rather than putting more energy, more effort in trying to resolve the matter amicably, and what is the price of peace? Rather, we are trying to whip up the sentiment of other people to join us to escalate the war. That see how many people Russia have killed. For that reason, we should give them more of this. For that reason, we should let them kill more of this. For that reason, we should empower them this way. That to me is a no idea to an answer. So as of now, I actually feel that is a protracted war, and it's going to go for a long while.
Thank you very much. Again, my only what I can deduct from everything you said is we should always seek peace. We should always find a way of dialoguing and not going for anything that will bring us to a point of killing each other. But then again, if we want to start thinking about people like Bill Gates and some other people saying we are too many of us, even though I've always queried that and say, how dare you to say we are too many of us? You are not feeding us. And if you think we are having problems with each other, mind your own business. Stay on your lane. You have more than enough to eat. But then again, that's another discussion for another day. Thank you very much for that intensive word. Chief Sense, again, you heard what Mr. Shegun Daniel said. Because of some other thing that I believe is trending all over the world, and well, let's talk about America, because you are in America. I know I'm not saying this to gain anything from anybody. I know, I'm not going to use very close, but I know you know former president of America, Donald Trump. I know you know him. And I also want to use this opportunity to ask you, I'm sorry if I use a word that might not be the best one, the shenanigan that is going on with the Republican, especially with their candidate Donald Trump. Walk us through. What do you think people should learn, or what people should know, or do you think people are enjoying what is going on in America with Republican vis-a-vis Donald Trump? Also, considering his involvement in January 6th. Again, I'm very cautious of what I'm saying because I know you know him, but I know you're going to give a clear
Now
cut. Yeah, and
the issue with Donald Trump is very simple. People should learn to let go. There are some people they cannot accept defeat. If you look at it, the economy Trump met was very bad. But he worked extremely well. But with COVID, which disorganized the system, and America had to go through an election period that the process was different from what we were used to. Nobody, you see, when you people vote by sending in their ballot papers by mail, it was for specific occasions. Either you are in the military, or you have some kind of thing in the hospital, or you are out of the country. That was the reason why mailing in ballot boxes was introduced. But because of the COVID, it became what contributed to almost 60 to whatever percentage. So it became strange to anybody who lost now that you couldn't see the people who voted. So it's very difficult for you to accept that you lost because it was not the conventional way of how elections were determined in the past. But like we've discussed on this program before, in America, you don't elect president, you elect the electors to elect the president. And the process made it possible for you to challenge it up to January 6th of the following year. So even though the election had taken place in November, there are some steps that you have to take if you doubt or you are in doubt of the election. But nobody has ever tested it until Trump came and said he wanted to go through the step by step to make sure that he actually lost the election. The Republicans lost. You see, this problem started almost from the midterm elections in the US, when 40 members of the Republican parties moved out. And then the Republicans were forced to be in the minority in a house they had controlled by 40. And then immediately Nancy Pelosi got there, it turned it around, and they decided so many things, including the impeachment and all those things that happened. So Trump actually enjoyed 2 years of his presidency. The last 2 years was never at peace. He was never at peace with everybody. They pushed him, they did everything. So by the time the result of the election, he had every reason to put all the problems coming from the midterm election, to summarize it and say he did not lose the election because everything looked like it was planned to get rid of him. So, but the system, like I said, we only elect electors. The electors will send their result to the House of Assembly in each of the states for confirmation. The confirmation will go to another step until January 6th, when it is accepted by the Congress. Officially, the presidency has not been determined. Has never been determined. But nobody has ever tested it to the place. Once you lose it in November, you just give up. So, but Trump went through every step of it until January 6th, that they said he did not win. But his supporters, especially those people who could not understand the process, they attacked the Congress. Many people were attacked there, and the president appeared to be enjoying everything what happened there. So he was even impeached after he has been defeated in the election. But back to all what we are saying now, is Biden the right person for this thing? Yes, but most of the things that could have been used against Biden, all the information that could have been used was suppressed by the press, including his involvement in Ukraine. The last speaker just mentioned something about Ukraine there. Biden's son and every one of them were doing businesses there. So you are wondering whether they were protecting their interests in Ukraine, or they were fighting in support of the people there. So the information that was found in the laptop of Joe Biden's son that the press got involved with was suppressed, and they were so damaging. If those information had been given to the public, probably wouldn't have had a Joe Biden as president. So the press were guilty. 80% of the press belonged to the Democrats. 80% of them. You have only just 2 or 3, maybe Fox News, Max, something News, very few of them. So they were able to mold the opinion of the public against the president, against, even come to COVID itself. The projections was that 2.5 million people would die before we could find the vaccine to it. But they went through it, and by the time we lost almost 400,000, a solution was found. Instead of 2.5 million, only we saved almost 2.1 million lives in America, but he didn't get credit for it. So all this messed him up. He thought he worked so hard, which he did, but the end result did not favor him. That's why he felt so bad that he still feels that if he can go in for the second term, we've had that in American history. There was a President Cleveland who had something similar. After one term, they kicked him out, and the person who took over did not perform, and he came back and won. So he spent 2 terms of different period. So it could happen, but the way they are piling up so many cases against him, I think it might be right for him to just step aside, so that the party can have a new beginning, because the crisis seems to be too much. If it's not on the women's side, it'll be on the business side, it'll be on this side, because this is the first time somebody who never had experience in politics or in elective office is coming into politics. So many things have to be, he has to go through so many on-the-job training, something that you're supposed to know when you are in the first year working in the council, or as a mayor, as a governor, and also in the Congress, which he never had. So it was strange to him. It was like business. Let me go and do it like we run a business. If it's not so, he gets mad, because
it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work out with politics. Sometimes you appear as if President Clinton said, politics or presidency is something that 60% of people who voted for you the day when you are sworn in, they're going to go against you. 60% of them, they want you out. And you're wondering, I just won the general election now, because that's why you check a president after 100 days, whether he's performing or not. We are doing that in Nigeria now. The first few months, Tinubu appears to be a little bit blah, blah. By the time he introduced the money, something, and else, everybody started saying this is too much.
Yeah, we're going to come to that in a minute, because it's also part of the.
So let's not stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is just a side comment before I go to the next area of what we want to discuss tonight. For me, I don't want to say along that providence that we know that it was the lastminute.com. He clinched. I'm just saying this is just my own comment here, that he clinched the presidency from Hillary Clinton, and the records are there, how all that happened. But again, those are going to be discussion for another day. If we choose
we can discuss it in a small nutshell.
But let me finish that. All I'm trying to say, for ordinary man, for a layman outside the politics, I'm very careful here. From the politics, people who have a good nuance of politics of America, which I have no doubt in my mind that you do, we have not believe that the bombshell of Hillary Clinton, um, what was that, internet something that helped him. But then again, now come the, picking from what you just said in your narratives, that here you also had a slight disadvantage that brought Biden to where we are. But okay, I'm going to allow you just to 1 minute because we have a couple of things and I have to be mindful of the time. Quick, if you want to add to that. Go on, sir.
You said he won the presidency by stroke of luck, or I don't know how you put it. You see,
Well, again,
when Obama was president,
yes,
we had automobile problem. All the car making industries collapsed.
yeah, boom and bust.
Yes, particularly in Michigan. But when Obama got there, he fixed the car industry. He did not fix the people that were affected. So by the time the election came, that was why Democrats lost in Michigan. Michigan used to be traditionally a Democrat state. The same thing with Philadelphia. Those two states actually helped Trump. So because they didn't do their job there, so but by 2020, those two states, they've recovered from the mistakes of the Democrat not helping them. So that was why they didn't give him the vote. They didn't give Trump the vote the following year, the second time around. So that was why he lost. If he had kept those areas he won in the first term, but some of them were by accident, like Michigan and Philadelphia. The Democrat, they've never lost that in the last 20 years. But that very time, they lost it to the Republican Party, not because Trump was fantastic, it was because the Democrat did not do their job. When they were fixing the car industries, they didn't fix the workers who walked away from their houses, their properties without anything. So they were still so that was why they switched their vote to the Republican Party. And that was how Trump became president. Yeah. So Hillary couldn't fix that. He didn't cheat anybody. There was no rigging. There was not anything. But by 4 years after, they had recovered. They went back to their sense. Let's go back to their base. So they went back to their base, which was the Democrat Party, and that was why they left the Trump empty-handed. He couldn't keep those two states. Otherwise, he could have won. So he lost those areas, and that was some of the things that we probably need to let your viewers know.
All right. I'm also learning the program. I'm also have to say there's some information I'm not privy to. So I take that on board. Let me say at this junction to people who are viewing us on YouTube, I want you to please, if it's possible, to like the show, love it, help share, also subscribe to my channel, and also please press the notification button because of next time. So even if we do emergency show, you'll be notified and then you can then join the show. As I said, tonight is my pleasure having two of my guests who I've had a couple of times. Now, Mr.
Can I quickly add?
Yeah, chip in 1 or 2 minutes. But we have some other list of topics. Yeah, go on, sir.
I think person like Trump is a disruptor. Not that disruptors are particularly bad people, but they can actually be disruptive in the sense that politics and elections are governed by rules. They are not governed by sentiments, by ideas, by emotions, by what I feel. I listened to a few of the things the gentleman said, and I think they are based on what people feel. No, particularly let me make a reference to the postal voting. They didn't just happen out of the blues. Trump knew that there was a legislation that made that happen. That because of COVID, there's going to be an expansion of the voting pattern to encompass those who cannot vote to vote earlier by mail. You know the rule in the game. You don't suddenly say when the outcome comes, oh, this has not been the way we've been doing it. That's a ruse. That's a ruse. That's somebody who is denying the process. It's like you are shifting the goalpost. If we sit down and agree that because of this circumstance, this is how this election will be conducted, and the election is now conducted, and you now said no. Oh, rule that you bring in as single. You are aware of the rule. You don't begin to come up with tantrums and tell me why that shouldn't have happened after the fact, after the election has taken place, like whipping sentiment. No. The second thing is, he went on shopping for all manners of courts, what is it called, decisions to upturn most of the votes in the state. And it didn't succeed. Yes, it didn't succeed. So it was very clear, all what Trump have said so far, none of it is standing the ground of the law. He's only talking about what people should feel. Let me be honest with you. Elections is not just about what you envisage in your mind if you go to the rallies. If you go to rallies and you see tumultuous crowd cheering you on, they do not sometimes resort to election results. They don't most times, because half of them might not even vote on the day. It is those votes that are counted that matters. You don't bring your vision of when you are at a rally and you saw 2 million people cheering for you in that state and said that should be the vote you should be given. No, it doesn't work that way. It is on the election day, the number of people that voted that really get counted, or those who have mailed in their votes prior to the election day, and the totality counted after the election. That is what you stick with. You don't stick with, oh, I went to rallies in this city, in this city, in this city, and there are 1.2 million people here, 1.5 million people that came out. If I tag it together, I should be having 6.4 million votes from this state. It doesn't happen that way. And these are the sentiments some people bring into the picture and causes confusion, because sometimes they trivialize matters that are factual they trivialize it by imposing sentiments and emotions.
Thank you.
That's just what I mean.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, like I said, let's move on. I do appreciate that we have the luxury of contrasting, different opinion on this show. We might agree. It's not like me wanted to ask that the way things are going from Chief Kule, the way things are going, if many people do not, I think that your side is becoming dark again. I don't know whether we can brighten the lights. Okay. Aha, wonderful, beautiful. Now, for me, also as a layman, I only read law in the UK, not in America. Share the way things are going, because there's a catalogue of indictments hanging on on Mr. former President neck. If he ends up going to prison, what does the law say? Is he going to, and also he's riding high in the opinion poll. So two things conflicting each other. If he's riding high in the opinion poll, and I don't know, if you end up winning the election 2024, despite all the amount of shenanigans, like I said, stupidity, because I don't understand where someone will have done so much to obstruct justice in a democratically structured and still win. But if he wins, can he rule and win and is jailed? Can he rule from prison? Just a quick one. Just answer yes or no.
I don't think he can rule from prison.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't think he can rule from prison.
No, because
but there is no law in the US that say a prisoner cannot run for office.
Okay.
In standard.
Okay, maybe that's where the confusion is. Let's quickly go to Niger. where a lot of things happen.
Quick, can I
Uh,
quickly add something as well, please?
yeah, because of
Can I
time. Yes,
quickly?
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to quickly highlight three events. If we recall, when Obama was running for a second term, Trump came up with the idea of challenging Obama's birth. He claimed that Obama was not born in the United States, that indeed he's an American, but he was not naturally born inside the United States. Obama provided his birth certificate and all that, yet that news went fire that no, he must have obtained this certificate somewhere, somehow. That is the essence of the problem this kind of disruptors can cause, because he's planting some discord seed in the mind of such of group of people or demographic. There are those who genuinely are believing those lies. You get it? And even when Obama succeeded in having his second term, the whole matter died off, and nobody have said this has been proven with alternatively that no, he's not a naturally born United States citizen. Then came Hillary's case. During his campaign, when he was contesting against Hillary, he said he wants to lock Hillary up because of what happened in Libya, because of the what is it called? The emails and all that. Immediately he got the presidency, he won the election. Nothing came out of it. That means all these are just political gimmicks. There are a lot of people who will run to the street and said, oh, there was a cover-up. There was a cover-up. The email is not shown. This is redacted. That is all. These are not facts. These are not main issues. If there are issues, all he needs to do is go to the court and obtain a judicial pronouncement on it for those items to be provided. You get it? And that will have settled the matter, but they will not, because they prefer to put it in political frame and kind of lift up people's sentiments rather than letting them know how the game is governed by rules.
Okay.
The same way that we are now witnessing this other one. Trump recently is challenging the Constitution of the United States. One, in jurisprudence, he's putting it this way: the First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech. That means even if he institutes cases in court and they are ongoing, he wanted to be running commentary on those cases, which is subject to the procedure in the court, on the claim that
I think he has been told to stop to stop
well,
doing that.
that's what I'm saying, because it's now it's bringing into clash the workability of the law. It's going to make it concern that I have fundamental human right, free speech, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. So how do you say that there is other laws that curtail that? How would the court now say, you know what, even if you have that right, it's curtailed by the fact that there is an issue in court, which could be a contempt of that court if you keep running commentary about what could be its outcome. You get it? So
Yes, thank you.
That's why I said he's a disruptor and a potential disruptive one at that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move to the continent Africa, and of course, we cannot fly. We can fly over many countries before we land in our home country. One thing I cannot deny, even though I'm a citizen of the UK, but the fact still remains that I'm a Nigerian, because it become no, but they become. So I will always, as it is, even though I'm also aspiring to have another nationality. We're going to get to that, hopefully, within the time we budgeted for this show. As you speak, one thing I discussed with High Chief, and that moved me. I want to also look at that, but again, I want to, touch one or two areas before I go to that. The High Chief said something which is very, very profound, and it resonates with me that the issue of not that we are just a large number of us are just in the world making like we are just there. You know, my lecturer used to say, I want on one bench, bench warmers. That we have not made a serious impact. The impact, and I say, what do you mean by impact? Did they not know in Europe that I will get the best of everything? Did they not know in America the 14% citizens of America, out of the 14%, almost about 85% of that 14% have done so well in the area of education and so on and so forth. He said, no, he's aware of that. But he's saying that we are yet to, despite all these powers, all this what we know, we are still not impacting other people like the way Chinese in brought to majority of the world eating Chinese food. Sometimes they want to do some of their culture. But before I go there, I'm going to come to that. I just want to remind, I just want to say that Chief, I'm coming to that. We're going to discuss that extensively. Now, as we speak, there are two major, is it one or two or three major issues going on in Nigeria. We have a concluded, not yet completed election in terms of elections that's come and gone. But then again, we still have this problem of the court hearing, appeal hearing, and so on and so forth, which might still take some time to come. But while we are waiting for the final completion of all this, we have this problem of when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu got to office, sworn to the office, and he hit the ground running. But I think he started by saying on his inaugural something that subsidy removal is gone, is going to go, is not going to come back again forever. Most of us who are political observers and analysts, we understand that. We also know that this has been a very ill managed arrangement to start talking about subsidy. And the subsidy, well, some people think they know subsidy. The majority of people say it was a scam because some of us will agree that we had a former governor that said, look, some of his friends are saying he has made so much money they're even tired, and the money it was not from drug, it wasn't from a Greek, it wasn't from economic, it was from a scam called subsidy. Now, let me start with Chief Kunle Showumi. Subsidy, when subsidy was removed, don't you think it would have been fantastically all right for our president to have mapped out or marshal out an arrangement to cushion that effect of subsidy? Walk us through.
Whether it did something or not, we've been taking our naira in such a way that we didn't even know the value of it. We've been borrowing money to sustain naira for a long time. And for a year, we've known that by 2023, there will be no more subsidy on, and none of them campaigned. All the three major candidates, Atiku, Peter Obi, and Tinubu, they all campaigned that subsidy will be removed on day one. All the three of them, it's on record. So what Tinubu just did was to echo the mind of the three of them, that they were going to remove it. Whether he did not have plan for it or what to do, that's another issue. Because it's like a kid. You've been spoon feeding the kid every month, every day, and then you said by next month, I'm going to take it away from you. Without providing the feed or whatever the baby puts in their mouth when they're crying, you don't have that around. You just take it off. Yeah, you took it off from the baby. Then it's going to start crying. That's the problem. That's the issue we find ourselves. You discover that they've been talking about this subsidy for a long time. Obasanjo mentioned it. Jonathan mentioned subsidy. Sometimes you wonder what is actually subsidy, because I won't be surprised if another government will come in 10 years' time and say he wants to remove subsidy. Then you wonder, what was the subsidy removed by Jonathan, Buhari, and then Tinubu now? Because obviously we've been padding the naira to the extent that all the people doing the businesses, and it started from day one, I think I wrote something about it in 1971. The problem of Nigeria started on oil in 1971. You ask me why? We joined OPEC. We had the opportunity of producing 5 million barrels every day. 5 million barrels. But when we joined OPEC, OPEC told us you cannot produce more than 2.7. So what happened to the 2.3? It's either we leave it there on the ground. It became something that those people stealing oil took advantage of. So Nigeria continued to produce 5 million. We were reporting 2.7, 2.3 were being shared among those people in government. So when they got tired of the 2.7 or 0.3, they started dipping their hand into the 2.7 that was officially given to us, to the country. And when they found that that was not enough for them, let us put the country on the skeletal service. Let us give them something for them to survive on. They went after the oil refinery, the 4 of them. So by the time all the 4 refineries were no longer in operation, you now have to go and refine it outside. You know what they do? What they did? All of them went and established refineries outside the country. So we are not actually getting this oil from any other people. We are buying the oil from the refineries some Nigerians built overseas. That is the problem. And they now found the oil marketers in collusion with 2 of them. They just give out the figure of whatever today, the cost of gas today in New York, in Long Island, here is about $3.75 per gallon. That is it as of today. So when we were buying this thing for 200 naira, we knew the day will come when it will no longer be there. We are just pretending to ourselves, that what will happen. So no government since Obasanjo, Buhari, everyone, none of them prepared for what will happen if we remove the subsidy. So what they handed over to Tinubu was just an empty barrel, nothing. Empty treasury. They handed over to him. But if you are asking him to do something, he had no fund. There is no fund.
There's no fund to put any cushion effects. Just
nothing. There was nothing on the ground for him to work on. It's like I give you empties and I say, okay, before you take this something, give him food. And I don't have food around. Otherwise, he too will have to go to the Congress or to the National Assembly, ask for money to be borrowed like others have been doing, to be able to cushion what is going on.
Exactly.
So it was an empty place.
All right.
So we don't have it.
Well, thank you very much for this analysis. And I have no doubt in my mind that what you just said last will also be a kind of a point of what our people need to understand. You see, unfortunately, the heat, people are now struggling to understand that subsidy, even though there wasn't any subsidy like you really analyzed now. Sheikh Daniel, what's your quick take? Also, I want to, what's your take on the removal and the possibility of not putting, the effect of not putting a cushion is, in place of the subsidy removal?
My take is, I don't want to dwell on conjecture on what people feel without any substance or evidence. It's not important, it's not good to say, these people, that people, who are these people, that people. I don't subscribe to that. One, let us be very clear. Subsidy in itself is not bad for the economy of Nigeria, for even any other economy whatsoever. Subsidies simply mean to make that industry where the subsidy is being provided to be competitive and have a hedge, or to make sure that it makes life comfortable for the citizen of the country for which that subsidy is being provided. Let's have a distinct separation of what is going on in Nigeria. I will repeat again. Subsidy in itself is not the problem. Nigeria needed the subsidy. What was the problem is the management of the subsidy. That this money that was supposed to be used for the benefit of the majority is going in the hands of few. So not that the policy itself is wrong. Let's have a distinction there. If you intend to help 10,000 people, and for your bad planning or your bad execution of the plan, 16 people cornered the money you meant for 10,000 people, does not mean what you planned for 10,000 people was wrong. It is because it was hijacked that makes it a problem. So we should focus on what the problem is so that we can know what the solutions are. I will repeat, subsidy in itself is not wrong, but the management of it had become a problem for Nigeria. And unless you face a problem and tackle it, if you are running away from it, then you are not going to deal with it. What Nigeria is trying to do is to pretend as if that wasn't a problem and said, you know what we need to do is abandon it. And that is the snowball effect that is giving the public the problem. Because that subsidy that has been removed will amount to hardship for the people. Now, if we agree that the problem is its management, there is a body in Nigeria, and let me quickly add too. Subsidy in Nigerian economy as many diverse economies of the world, not only limited to the petrochemicals or petroleum, oil and gas, energy business. There is a plethora of subsidy in Nigeria all across the facet of the economy. There is subsidy in the finance, there is subsidy in agriculture, there is subsidy virtually everywhere. When government is throwing money to the agriculture, that's subsidy. If government is saying, I'm going to give you fertilizer that costs 2,000 naira at 50 naira, that is subsidy. That's the meaning of it. That will make it available at a cheaper, accessible, easy price. That is simply what it is. And that is what was happening in the oil and gas industry. That Nigerian will be able to buy, since we produce crude oil, will be able to buy it at affordable price. That was the vision. So this idea of subsidy is criminal, is trouble, is nonsense. There's subsidy virtually all aspects of Nigeria economic life. If a bank like First Bank is going to go down now, I can bet you Nigerian government will shut it off. Nigerian government is going to put taxpayers' money in it. That is subsidy. Because if they allow First Bank to go down, there could be 20, 50 or 40 other banks that will go down, which will disrupt the financial system. It's better to stabilize it and put taxpayers' money on it, or treasury's money in it, because I don't know if we pay tax in Nigeria anyway. Put treasury's money on it and then stabilize it. That is subsidy. There are those who are buying bad debt. That is subsidy. So now let's localize it to the oil and gas. Like I said, it is the implementation, it is the workability of the subsidy in that sector that had become problematic. In which case, few people, as we are told, or few businesses are cornering the money that is meant for the generality of the population into their own coffers. And I stand to say that, one, there are two things that will resolve this. There's just only one body. NNPC now have transformed into NNPCL, that is statutorily given the power and the right to determine those who this subsidy are paid to. If we all agree that there has been a scam, NNPC should provide us those who had been involved in the scam. Don't let us run away from it. It's the only body. They are the only paying body. They are the one that is paying those who are offering these services to collect the subsidy money. So they know those to whom they are paid. And if NNPC is joining the bandwagon to say that, oh, there has been a scam, then they should identify for us and said, oh, wrong payments were made to these people, which we can recover because we have identified it as a scam. But no, so far nobody is talking that direction. Rather, everybody is saying what is good should be removed from the public and let them suffer. Let the generality of the people not get that subsidy. They should pay for the rigging, the manipulation of the very few who have over the years been cornering that money. And you know what? We will just slip by and pretend as if what they have done is in the basket of history.
Yeah.
Then the second part of it is, you talked about when he introduced that subsidy will come to an end. I take an exception to it. When the iShift said there is no money to pay the subsidy anyway, there will always be a way. There will always be a way to pay for the subsidy. They can keep on borrowing. It only makes us to be more indebted. We cannot say that there is no way.
Like,
the only thing
like America, the
yes,
highest debtor.
The only reason is you have to take your choice. Yes. So that's nullify the idea that there's no way. The second part of it is, if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, one of the keynotes of leadership to me in my training is not to proceed and make running commentary on how we got here. If you do not understand the problem before you are seeking for leadership, you don't get there to start telling me the problem. I expected you to have an answer to the problem. And that I've seen it that it has become more acceptable to Nigeria to even tell you that this thing has taken us 40 years to get us here. For goodness sake, somebody who wanted to revive it knew that. You don't need to remind, and it doesn't even need to remind us either. If I'm going to buy a property and I went for view and I see that it's in a dilapidated situation, I have to cut. Now, if I buy it, how much do I have left? What assets do I have to other finances? What do I need to do with it? And all that. I don't buy the property and say, you know what, I'm now broke. Oh, I bought the wrong property. It's taking me to... That is nonsense. Because you are aware, you get it, that this is the problem. You too have been articulate. You come up with solutions, not telling people how you got there, or what that problem will amount to, or what that problem is. No, that is not a quality of leadership. I take an exception to that. You should be able to deplore and said, you know what, these are the steps I'm going to take that will mitigate this problem. You go head on to it. That is the quality of leadership to me.
Yeah.
Anything short of that is dancing around the whole thing. And again, there was a conjunction to foreign exchange, because Nigerian currency have been left to find its level in respect of its rate against other foreign currency, particularly United States dollar and maybe British pound and euro. Nigerian government, as of present, try to have a free market. Not really free though, but at least to some extent a free market that lets the market determine the price or the rate at which Naira will exchange to any other foreign currency. That is not too bad though. But if you are going to do such thing, what you should put in your mind is this. One, and these are very simple fundamentals. Nigeria currency is Naira. Nigeria has no business in keeping dollar. The only reason why we have business in keeping dollar is for exchange of goods and services from abroad. That means if we want, since they are not going to accept Naira in other countries, that is the only motive for us to keep dollar. And if we are out there, do we earn this dollar? We earn the dollar by what we produce and sell to other nations. It's not limited to the United States because it is its currency. The dollar is a universal currency. That means if we sell to Singapore, we can receive United States dollar for those trade. If we sell to Malaysia, we can receive United States dollars for that trade. So it's a universal currency. It's a universal currency of exchange. The only reason why we need to do that is we increase our production. If we want to have foreign exchange, just as we are selling our crude oil, we can sell any other products that is made in Nigeria to earn that foreign exchange. But what we found in Nigeria is that we are more of a consuming nation, that we take that foreign exchange that is particularly we earn from the oil and gas export, which is nearly 90%. 90% of Nigerian foreign exchange comes from the oil and gas. And that is the money everyone will use to buy toothpick. We used to import pizza. We used to import chorizo. We used to import salami. We used to import pepperoni. Things that have junk to us.
Okay.
So we would deplete it to an extent where we nearly have nothing. You get it?
Yes.
That way, we're left with nothing. Only when we need equipment, capital equipment to galvanize our production, then we don't have that foreign exchange to pay for it.
Okay.
I would simply say that if Bola Tinubu could synergize, I don't know how the relationship between him and Peter Obi. Peter Obi in his campaign just said that his focus was to increase Nigerian production. I've not heard that from the APC government, but that is the truth of the matter. That's the core of it. Okay. Nigeria needs to start looking on how to improve and increase productivity. It is that's
the bottom line.
It is the crux of the whole matter. It is the crux of the whole matter. Because if we have multiple areas where we can export, particularly finished product this way, multiple avenues which could bring us that foreign exchange, you get it? Our money will become highly powered. Two, you can limit those excessive of those who want to buy frivolous items by importing anything. You can create by law that will prohibit it. You can have import substitution. You can have discrimination against importation. All manners of duties and excise could be placed to kind of make it not easy for people to want to import such product. If somebody wants to bring in toothpick and I said, you have to pay 700% on whatever import, that's not going to encourage him to do that. Yes, that's not going to encourage such person to do that. That means that foreign exchange which he wanted to take out will be available.
All
You
right,
get it?
all right. I'm
So
sorry to I need to interject you again. Like I said, I know some of your area. We might have to sometimes. I mean, next time, stay on one particular subject, maybe economics or what is going on. But let me go back to the High Chief. High Chief, I know how much you put into the campaign of getting Ashaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I know a couple how many times you and I have spoken and different range of issues relating to his election and so on and so forth. Even though I also have one or two area of my worries and hope, how is he going to succeed? Now he's in the job, and like the last speaker said, it's not good enough if you uh, take a contract and then you now start lamenting. Oh, I don't know the number of plots of where I need to build 25,000 houses is like supposed to be two more plots. You know, I mean, the person giving it to him, I start thinking that you should have known this. And I said, you call us. We still want to give 100% of our support to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We want him to succeed. There's no any other option than to see the president to succeed. And that is
yeah,
who I am, and that is what I am standing for, independent of some other quest for what I wanted to get in Nigeria. Chief, as we speak, our president is found himself in a multiple. I'm looking for the word. He has to multitask. Should he go to war? And I'm referring to what is going on in Niger, where Niger has removed an unwanted leader, Bazoum, that they believe is not been doing the bidding of the people, is not been serving the people. On one side, they have the right. I mean, I'm not supporting military coup in any form or shape, but we have a situation where looks like that is the only answer available to the people of Niger. And we also need to put into consideration when you are responding to what I want to say. I'm going to give you time to talk about it. That we are in a dilemma. Nigeria is in a dilemma, and I will tell you what I mean by that, even though you can break it down more than I do. We have almost about 7 different area of border with Niger, and Niger is as good as Nigeria because every other 10 people from Niger, at least three and a half of them are Nigerian. So we now have a situation where there's this military coup, and we now have a situation where the is an ecowas member, and the chairman of ecowas is now saying, no, I don't agree. We're not going to allow that because as far as I'm concerned, we do not want any military coup in the region or in the area where possible, nowhere in Africa. But you see, the bystander is now saying, hello, you don't want it, but we're not getting we're not getting value for money. We're not getting value for electro. I'm looking for the democracy. People will really love to. What is your general take? Should our president, the president of ECOWAS, go to war? She should go and fight our neighbor to get what? And she should be remembered for standing in for a proxy, allowing him to be used as a proxy. Did you get the question, sir?
Yeah, thank you for a very detailed. Sometimes I was wondering if you were asking a question or you were making a.
That I was. That's the problem when you
Yeah.
also want to analyze.
Now,
That's the problem. But go ahead, sir.
it was true. I campaigned for President Tinubu.
Yes.
We went all out because we believe in true federalism. That's what we believe in. For a country with almost 371 tribes, true federalism has always been a situation where such a country can thrive. That was what we voted for. That was what we supported. But the presidency, what the president is doing has not been directed towards the true federalism, meaning he met other agendas on the way, which are now having like a distraction towards what he was asked to come and do. And it's a concern to everybody, whether he would trace himself back to why he was elected, instead of just looking at Africa or whatever, Nigeria Republic with their problems. And I think from what we say, when people are having problems, you first of all solve your own problem first. The primary responsibility of President Tinubu is to Nigeria as number one.
Mm.
We can ask him, the National Assembly can ask him to resign as president of chairman of the ECOWAS. And if he doesn't, they'll kick him out. Because if that is what is making him to think that he has to listen to ECOWAS more than the Nigerian people, that's unfortunate. One, and I'll tell you this, the war with, any war with Nigerian Republic is a disaster. And we end in the disaster. One, we cannot guarantee the loyalty of the 7 states in the north with the border. And unfortunately, those are the states we are having our national military base of what you can talk about it. Everything is either in Kaduna, in Katsina, in Kano, everything in the north. And those are the areas. Suppose those areas, they are overrun. What happened? We got nothing in the south to defend Nigeria. It means Nigeria Republic can shift, with the support of the north, they can shift the border to River Niger or Lokoja. So, like, in things fall apart, don't fight any war that you cannot win, or war of blame. 53% of the people in Nigeria Republic are Hausas. 7% are Fulanis. And those are the people we have in the northern part of Nigeria. So you're asking them, otherwise his own case is going to end up like a Banjo in the Civil War. When Ojukwu asked him to march to Lagos. And Banjo being a Jebu man or a Remo, he knew there was no way you could march soldier to Lagos without going through Jebu land. He refused. And he was executed. So when we now give the command to the Nigerian army to fight and kill their brothers and sisters in the Nigeria Republic, I don't think that thing will work out. There is a kind of demonstration going on now in Kano that they don't want to have any war with the Nigeria Republic. And very soon it's going to spread to the whole of the north. It means we cannot guarantee their loyalty, or all our military bases there is not secured. It can be taken over. I don't know whoever is advising President Tinubu should be able to tell him these are the things that 7 states of Nigeria. And when I posted the picture of the photograph of the border between Nigeria and Nigeria Republic, you know what they have there? A used tire. They just put a used tire and the stick on it. And I've said jokingly, I said, it's like better for it to put a ritual like Ebo, put it there. That would be scary than what they have. Anybody can just walk past that one there. Exactly. So it means these are one people. You cannot separate them. You cannot make them to fight. And that war is not even Nigeria war. It's not even Africa war. It's a war sponsored by French government and American government because of what they are getting there. So, and we are, like you said, we are being used. And I hope our case doesn't end up like Iran and Iraq. When Shah of Iran was removed, and America wanted Shah to be reinstalled back into Iran, and they asked Iraq to fight that war for them. And somehow, Shah of Iran died, and they asked Iraq to stop the war. Iraq said, no, the promise was Kuwait, that if I can help you get Shah back, I'll get Kuwait. And he went after Kuwait. And that was how you have the Desert Storm War and all those things at that time. Now, after the death of, suppose these soldiers, suppose they killed the removed president, and we're already there in that war. And what happened? America will say all the things we promised you is no longer possible because this is the situation now. And then we end up like what happened to Saddam Hussein or to them to Banjo of the Civil War. So let us be reasonable. Let's call our president to order. Your duty is to Nigeria. In fact, we have enough problem, for God's sake. Like the gentleman just mentioned about the subsidy removal and all the crisis that is going on. Some people, some of our workers in our foundation, we ask them to come to work 3 times a week now. We ask them alternate it. Some people will come on Monday, Tuesday, so that was what we had, because we cannot afford to have them to work for 5 days anymore. You understand? Because we have to increase their salaries. We have to push in so many things. That's what should be the primary concern of President Tinubu. Let him step down as ECOWAS chairman. There is nothing there for him. Our duty is Nigeria. We have problems. People are suffering. People they need help. And if he came out and said he has saved 1 trillion naira from this oil subsidy for 3 months, congratulations. But what do we use the money for? Because those people who want to sell arms, like the Americans, they are also waiting. What do we get from this money? They want to have a piece of it. Let's spend that money or whatever we are getting here to get all our 4 refineries to come on board. Anybody who thinks Dangote is going to help Nigeria is lying. They said it cannot take off until the year 2025. I don't know whether you are aware of that.
I understand, yeah.
Until year 2025. We're talking about 2 years from here. So we need to fix all the 4 refineries. If we produce locally, then we can control the cost. But as long as we buy the gas from outside, we will have to pay the market price. And they said very soon it's going to be like $600 or $700. They're going to increase that money or naira. And then you can see the market price. I just gave you the price here in America here. $3.75. It's in Long Island today as I'm talking to you, per gallon. Maybe like 90, whatever, almost $1. You understand? And that's even in New York here. If you go to Texas, if you go to California, about $5 plus. Every state, they have different prices. And that is even in a country, they have 130 refineries. That's what they have in America, 130. We don't have a single refinery. It means we depend.
Working refineries.
Working, yes. About 130 working refineries in America. But in Nigeria, we don't have one. We are just hoping that Dangote own, and from what I heard, Dangote own is supposed to produce 650, whether it's a barrel or gallon per day. But the machine as of today is not even in supplies of almost 300. So it means
it's going to start until 2025.
So that's why they are waiting for it to beep up until they can get to that level. If they can't get to 650, the machine will not be turned on. It's like you running a machine to produce, and they say you have to use a 3-phase meter. But at the moment, you have a single phase. So it means you can't turn your machine on. That's what is happening with Dangote. And that is the hope of people who sabotage the effort of the 4 refineries so that they could keep this money in the hand of one person and they can share the money in their own way there. But those people with refineries outside, they are also working against. So we are fighting so many wars. We are fighting against people who don't want it produced locally. We are fighting with people who want to produce locally, but they want to be in charge of it on their own. Until we can get those 4 refineries to be on again, there is no way the prices of oil can come down, because we are importing it from overseas. And we are asking, like the young man, that the guy said there, that we need to go and borrow more money. But a time will come, people who are borrowing money, they will say, enough is enough. We can't borrow you anymore. Because some of these things, we have used our crude oil to borrow. We are supplying crude oil to China and some other countries because they borrowed us money. So we are not getting any money back. They've sold, somebody told me in the oil industry that the oil, they've sold the oil up to December. That was why when President Tinubu came, he said anybody who is not ready to pay cash will not buy the oil. I don't know whether you remember that scenario when he said it. Because those things were sold on credit in advance till December. So he met a terrible thing on the ground. He said that he doesn't even have the power. They will remove him the following day if he does anything more than just to manage it and propel it. Because the people you are going to step on their toes, there are so many, and they've been in the system since 1971. These are These are people that they know the system more than you that is coming in there. How you don't even have control of your election is still being challenged in court. Anybody can just use that and say, they can even bribe the judge. Tony gave him money and then rule against you that you're no longer there. And the next thing, everybody's jumping on the street. Oh, they remove him. You don't even know why they removed the president. Let me tell you what happened. What Trump did when he became president, because you have to come back here. When he came there, and we found that everything we were importing is 67,000 manufacturing companies left America. They were hanging in Mexico and Canada. Nothing in America. He went to it. He called all the manufacturers and asked them for their problems. They told him. And then anything you can produce in that country, I think the guy, the last speaker mentioned something like that. Anything you can produce in the country, they will tax. They put a kind of tariff, high tariff on it so that you'll not be able to import such a thing. That's why most of the companies started building up. So from almost 10% unemployment, America went to 3-point-something% because people were producing. A lot of people were going back to work. About 91 million Americans were no longer working before Trump became president. Because there was no job. They were collecting unemployment. But before he left, the thing went down to as far as 50 million. Many people went back to work because all the companies were coming back, and he reduced the tax. Okay, we have what's called the NAFTA. In America here, you pay, the manufacturers will have like 35% taxes on whatever you do. Canadians about 15%, Mexico 5%. And they had what is called NAFTA, a common market, where when you bring your product, you sell it in anybody's area, you don't pay anything. It means before as an American, before I bring my product, I'm already indebted up to 35%. A Canadian is just 15%. So Trump now said, okay, that 35%, let's also reduce it to 20%. So the Congress allowed him up to 21%. And he now passed a law that if you leave the country to go and establish overseas, thinking you can bring the product back here, you have that 35% waiting for you. So everybody stayed. So that's why our country too, we need to help all our manufacturers. Many of them are living for Ghana, for Togo, for whatever. They are leaving the country because our system is not helpful. I used to own a manufacturing company in Songota. Electricity drove us away. We need to increase that energy from 4,000 to 40,000 before we can even know what is going on in the market. So as long as we don't do all those things, if we can't increase our production, Naira cannot gain the value. And like I was talking to Otunba before, every one of us should be an advocate for Nigerian products in anywhere you find yourself in any part of the world. Don't just go and buy Nigerian food and enjoy it and go home. Yeah. Let them know how good it is, so that foreigners, the more the foreign people can buy from us, the better for us. We can engage our people at home to work with. Yes. But if everybody just go there, do your own and go, the Naira will be struggling, and the effect of it is very bad. Thank you.
I will come to that, like I said, towards the end of this show. Now, Shegun Daniel, what exactly do you think if our president, who both of you agree that we have so many on our plates, there's so many things to be fixed. So if we turn around and say, you know what, you guys, because I cannot see the rationale, the reason why I have to do this war, more so when I can see from afar that I might be used as a pawn. You know what? Let the president of any other West African country do it. The question is, what harm? What are we going to lose if we take that decision, like Chief Kunle Showunmi said? You know what? Number one, I cannot see the rationale. I cannot see the gain if I have to do this war on behalf of ECOWAS. What's your take?
Well, I think three things are involved here. One, let me quickly take that of the Niger. I mentioned three things. I want us to separate politics from the economy and then the issue of Niger coup. Niger coup, actually, recently I had somebody who said it was a bloodless coup. It was a simple removal of one government, head of government, by supposedly military junta, and nobody had been declared killed during that coup. Yet, there is a drum of war after that coup. That kind of annoyed my senses. That a coup that was bloodless, we now want to engage in killing to put it right. Then there must be something wrong somewhere. I would have suggested that if it is that bloodless, then the way to go is to be a dialogue in resolving the matter to make the status quo to remain bloodless. But so far, this drumming of we are going to engage in military intervention seems to be gathering weather. Though I have a reservation about it. I actually feel that ECOWAS, non-Nigeria, will engage in any military intervention in Nigeria. It will be as a strategic approach to kind of let the junta feel they can bite, so as to have a good leverage in negotiation. But I must comment that the deployment of that strategy had not been good. It had not worked. By perception, it has more metamorphosized to idea that we really wanted to use force to change things. Rather, it will have been a very subtle way. That will have come, in fact, it shouldn't have been in the picture at all. It shouldn't. If their first engagement was to meet with the coup plotters, and in subsequent discussion is when you outline to them, not to the public, not to the ECOWAS public, you are outlined to those you are having discussion with, that is the military junta, that these are the steps that ECOWAS are likely to take in the event this is not resolved. That to me will have been the strategy to adopt military intervention as a tactics. But saying to the public that we are going military intervention, which should not be ruled out, is part of it, and that is what has created the conundrum. It is what has created this problem of talking about it again and again and again and again. If we all look at it from the sideline of a bystander, it doesn't look very well for Nigeria to engage in that military intervention. It doesn't, in any ramification, it doesn't. So I actually feel that it is posturing. It is not that there is a will there to do it, but that posturing in itself, the way it's been adopted, is negatively rubbing on us. It's not giving us any leverage. And it's because the strategy for adopting it was ab initio wrong. That was it. Truthfully, I honestly feel that we are not going to march into Niger. There are too many consequences that needs to be considered for us to even do it. So I actually feel that it does for posturing, to use it as a threat. But the way it's deployed, even as a threat, is counterproductive. It shouldn't have come to the public this way. It should have been first. They meet with the coup plotters, start dialogue, start that negotiation. It is in those negotiations that you show your card. So you are talking, not that you are from Benin or Nigeria or Senegal, you are now issuing the threat. That will have been an ongoing communication. You get it, and let them know that these are the possible outcomes or stances we can take. It is that is to their head, even if as they have stabilized, they will want to give in on one. They might say, okay, we'll institute a transition, we will do this, we'll do that. Yeah, But to say that we're going to wipe you out, blah, 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 if you don't bring in the former president, and that is in the public domain. That to me is what is teaching the politics. And it's not making this administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu good in any perception of Nigeria. Not only to our northern brothers, even those of us who are in the south. It's not giving him a very good image of somebody who can manage a delicate situation. Be that as it may. I said I wanted to talk about politics. Fortunately, during the election that ushered in the administration of Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, I was in Nigeria. The election, to my belief, was won and lost. Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu won that. APC won that election. I'm not an official of INEC. I'm not an European Union observer, neither a local observer. I'm just an observer of my own as well as a voter. That election complied virtually with all the provisions of the electoral rule that guide it, as well as the Constitution. That I have seen that reason out of the election were those two prominent, actually three prominent parties that challenged the election. One so far has given that APM, so remaining just two. That's PDP and Labour Party. I found a massive contradiction in what they are telling the public and what actually happened, as well as what is happening in the court or in the tribunal. At the time of concluding the election, PDP first issued a statement that the chairman should stop the election count, the vote count, because he has the power to review the result that had come in earlier, because they want to contest that election from Ekiti State and one other state. And the INEC chairman's response is, this result, because you are a political party, you have agents in all the polling stations. You are taking note of those results. Probably that's what gives you that impetus that something had gone wrong. And so you want to intervene. And INEC said, but this result had not come to my own table. That means INEC have not received, INEC is not a political party. INEC have not received those results. How can it institute a review of what it has not received? You're saying, but because you have the result, you already know, oh, these results we have lost and we're going to challenge it. You are now saying, take action on what I have. INEC can't do that. And that's what Mahmoud said, that I'm not going to review what already I don't have in my hand. At the conclusion of the electoral result, where a winner was declared, PDP claimed that they won. That is one. Labour Party claimed that we won. That is two. Both of them now hinge their problem on IREV. That is, the result was not uploaded in real time. There was no rule, there was no legal consideration that said...
Sheikh Daniel, I'm sorry to interject you. I want to balance the time and one or two other areas I want us to discuss. You will agree with me that we started spilling over to an area which is going to be a whole. If you want to look at the result of the
I can summarize it quickly.
Yeah, okay, I will let you do that because I still have two major areas. Because otherwise,
in 5 minutes, I will summarize it in 5 minutes.
Yes, no, 5 minutes is good. It's 2 minutes, because of other.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Why I bring in the issue of the politics? Some people feel that if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration does not resolve or adequately tackle economic problem of Nigeria, that is in any event related to his mandate. To me, that's why I said there is a separation. People deserve whatever they voted for. They voted for him. If he did not perform, it's a different ballgame. You don't take that to say that he did not merit that mandate. No, you had voted first. If that person now is found wanting, you get it. There is another modality, there are other things. If, for instance, it is found that his government too becomes endept in corruption, they could impeach him. That does not invalidate his election. You get what I'm saying? The election has taken place and concluded, though not completed. You get it? Yes. Don't let us bring in the idea that people will get the sentiment that, oh, he couldn't perform because he rigged the election. No. That's why I'm trying to separate.
Okay.
That the election is an event that are taking place and he had won it. Now it's coming to governance. This is no longer politics or campaign. If peradventure is found wanting in discharge of those promises or the manifesto of the party, and they could not deliver, Nigerians have all right to be disenchanted, and they could take all legal means, constitutional means. That means they could talk with their representative and said, you know what, if you can find in the book any way to impeach this man, do so. If it is within their power to do it, they will. If they cannot, then we have no choice but to wait until when we will be given another franchise in 4 years. And said, you know what, you have disappointed, we can take you out. So let us, in our mind, not mix the idea that because politics is still not completed and is doing this gerrymandering around the economy, then they are mixed. I think they are not. We should have a focus on their separate.
Okay, I want to multitask. I'm trying to do the last question combination of how best can we promote, what else, what more can we do, because it looks like we are changing ourselves. We Nigerians, let me stay with Nigerians, because we have so much, we know so much, we are so innovative, we have so many things we can offer the world. Maybe we are still packaging it in a wrong way, and I want us to discuss that. But I also want to couple it with issue of a segment of the country that um, want to leave, and that is I'm one of the campaigners. I never hide that, and I want to say to everybody watching this program, because these are two strong advocates of democracy. These are two strong people who campaign. I know them. Very well for the election of Bola Ahmed. And I can assure anybody and everybody, this show is going to get to him somehow, because I've invited a couple of TVC. They are listening. I've invited a couple of TVC people, and I'm sure they may be played in one of their shows, Journalists Hangout, which Asiwaju Bola Ahmed watches all the time. It's still going to say, oh, I know the presenter, and I'm sure. So I'm trying to tell you guys that whatever we are discussing here today is very, very important. We're going to move it higher and further. Now, I was discussing with a High Chief Saint Kunle Chomome a couple of hours before this show began, and he's worried that that we are not pushing enough. We are not doing enough to promote not only our heritage, but the many things. Look at the wonderful set of foods we have. We are so rich in culture, in many other things, but we are not selling. We are not selling ourselves. And I said to myself, that's true. Yoruba, Nigerian palace are only patronized by only Nigerians in economy, whereas we're supposed to be buoyant by having Irish, the German, the British, going to our palace, eating and drinking and promoting. Guinness cannot be part of what we are talking about because Guinness, uh, hold on, yeah, that we have this Guinness. Guinness is Irish something. Is universal. Even before we started, so we are not promoting Guinness. We are even they are using us to promote Guinness. Now, what else do you want to say to our viewers, Chief Saint? How do you want us to promote this particular area of our good? How do you want us to move forward?
Yeah, we thank you for bringing the topic up because that was what I was discussing before you
Yes.
came, and then we tried to make it part of the discussion.
Yes.
We are blessed to have been in every part of the world. And I can assure you, Nigerians love to eat their food. Anywhere. Our primary concern is how to get Nigerian food. But we shouldn't be selfish with it. We should be able to promote it so that those people who are making it at home can expand their market and enough inflow of revenue can come back to Nigeria. Every one of us have been to Chinese restaurants, right? Every couple, every of it end up in China. I want to see a situation where black, white, yellow, whatever can go to a Nigerian or African restaurant and eat our eba rice and make it something they like. What happened to the farmer at home in Africa or in Nigeria? He's going to look for more money to invest more in what they are doing. And then we shouldn't make it all about oil alone. Take oil. Let us go back to what we were, even back home in the 60s. Every one of us probably used butter shoe or linen shoes. Who cares about what kind of shoe they did in Italy? Or skin or leather or snake shoe, whatever, or snake belt. We use Exide battery for all our vehicles. We use our locally made. All these things were able to reduce our interest in foreign products that has eaten deep now into our resources that we now look for more money, more dollars to sign. And I was singing a song. I said, this funny politician, what is it? Dino Malaye. He did a song. He said, if you remember that kind of thing. So that we cannot.
From him. Do you know where he is?
I don't know, because he's still looking for how to take care of this bukata that he mentioned. But it's the same thing. As funny as that thing may sound, that is the problem we have all over the country. Our need for foreign products are insatiable. And I was even reading somewhere where the National Assembly or whatever, a state assembly in Imo State, they rejected buying locally made Nigerian vehicles.
Innocent.
Innocent. That is even it's supposed to be a sin. I cannot imagine America importing cars from outside.
It's criminal.
Yes, it's criminal. We need to, the National Assembly need to pass a law. We should only import cars when we cannot meet the need at home. Let's look at the kind of vehicles we need every year. Maybe 5,000 vehicles every year into the country. Those producing locally, how many can you do? We can do 2,000. Yes, the remaining 3 is all you can bring into the country. So we can patronize those who are in our country. And that is where we can grow. But if we don't do that, anybody brings something from China, from India, from Japan, they all bring it in and they compete. Now, this is the problem. In 2015, when Buhari took over the government, we sent in a proposal to him. I was a member of Manufacturing Association of Nigeria in the 90s or something. And we said, have a dialogue with man. What are their problems so that we can help them to be able to grow, so that they can be manufacturing things locally. Now, take the 4,500 megawatts of electricity we have to 40,000. Those are the areas. I think you remember I went with Femi to Germany.
I remember very well.
At that time, we went there with them. By the time we came back, we submitted, they just mobbled that thing up, and they couldn't do anything on electricity. And then talk to the bankers, the banking industry, to make credit facilities available. But why will a bank be declaring 10,000 or 5 billion profit? And you cannot point to, in America here, the banks are the one building the warehouses. You don't need to build a factory. They already built for you. The warehouses are already there. You just plug yourself in. Once you say you have an idea, the system will support you. Like how? You don't need to buy the machines. All the people who are making the machines will say, we want to give it to you to lease it. You lease the machine to produce your product. All they want is your brain to be able to work on this thing. All these proposals, we sent it to Buhari. Instead of that, he went to China to borrow money to sustain the economy. And this is the effect of it. Because that time, I remember, I said it, I said, this Naira is going to be like 600 in future, the way you guys are going. We sent it to him. And that was, by the time he left off it, we are hitting 600 now. This is almost 1,000 now. If this current president refused to do all those things, until we can triple or quadruple what we produce locally and export, Naira is not coming down. It's going to keep going up because we need to be able to produce. All our farmers, all our manufacturers, we have to come to their help. Give them the resources and the finance and the machines. And those who are lucky to be producing locally, we need to support them. The government need to pass some draconian laws that will stop importation of those things we can produce locally so that we can sustain them. Otherwise, every one of them will be living in it. And every time you lose a manufacturing company, you are increasing the problem on Naira. You understand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go, because of time, I'm trying to manage the time. And let me quickly take you around the segments of the country. Even though I know that if we are to break up the country, it should be a win-win for many nations in one country. What's your take on the segment of the country saying we want to exit, even though the Yoruba and the Igbo are prominent now? But then again, there comes this argument of Yoruba is our president now. What else do you want? Please speak to me or speak to us whether the quest or the demand for a Yoruba nation, despite independent of all what we have discussed here tonight, you still think it's not in the right direction, or how do we go about it?
I'm an apostle of true federalism.
Okay.
You get him there. And true federalism is the 6 so-called regions we have now. We can grow independently within the same country without disturbing anybody. The Southwest can live like what they have in Dubai and still be a great nation within United Emirates or whatever. I don't know, Arab Emirates they call it there. You can be there. Yes, but for us to say we want to exit, it comes with a lot of things that we don't plan for. It's good to discuss it. It can be the ultimate, but why don't you take true federalism and regional government first? Then you have a clearer picture of what being on your own can be. Otherwise, you just hand over the government to some people who will end up like what do you call them, military, whatever, the thugs or whatever. They will be the one in charge of everybody. And then our case may end up like Sudan, where after pulling out, some people are now causing trouble to go back. You understand? But when you take true federalism in the regional form, you may have a planned way of how to go about it without disrupting anything.
Okay. And
that time, by the time you say, okay, let us go each other way, all of us, the six countries or 8 countries that will probably emerge, we'll be friends. We can end up like what happened in the 18 something in Germany during the German unification, where Austria and Hungary said they were not going, and they remained friends. And one of the reasons why we had this First or Second World War was that Germany supported all those because they were all German states. So we can still coexist together as regional government while we have our eyes on the independence out of the old system in the future. That's the way I feel about it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I mean, again, I don't want to be too modest, but I think I need to continue to use my own contribution in a way that I also believe that we have not been following the process. But it doesn't make me popular, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm going to be left with maybe 10 people out of 10 million or whatever. I will continue to say the truth. And Sheikh Daniel, towards the end of this show, you heard what she said about promoting. We're supposed to be more than this now. See how far we've gone with music. Alagba Kunle did not, but see how much we have promoted music. Now I think I'll be surprised if they don't make us number one in music industry, because now that we have reached trillion and listener and everything, and an average Akata can sing along with Ashake. An average German can even sing Ashake. Is that not what you're trying to talk about, Chief Saints? So
that's it.
Yeah. What else can we do to bring more of our products to be that people can identify with it and make it more like if only to start with a mini China or mini Chinese? What's your take?
In international trade, there is what we call comparative advantage. It is the will or wish of anyone to want to feel that they can do everything. But in reality, we cannot all do everything. We need to find our strength. It is just about the advantage. Nigeria will want to excel in virtually everything. My take there is, it might not necessarily be that the export of Nigerian food or tourism and all that. If it is not going to take us there, we don't need to dissipate so much energy just because we are looking at the success of some countries that have had a breakthrough in that aspect. The food matters that the High Chief mentioned. I don't know of sensationalism about British food. It's not internationally renowned. Yes, and yet British is one of the strongest nations in the world. There's nobody that knows the particular American food. But the strength in the Chinese is to promote their food. The strength in India is to promote their food. They might not have that competence in other areas of specialty that America is super in. Do you understand? So for that reason, we can try. It doesn't mean we will abandon it altogether, because there are those Nigerians who are making headway in that area. If along the line they could accumulate a whole lot of skill sets and technicalities on how to deliver it, yes, that might help. That might be a revolution of the industry. But to entirely focus our senses that because countries like Dubai have succeeded, or countries like China have done it, or country, so we must do, it could be a real waste of resources. Because if you don't have what it takes to do so, I think what we will need to do is have our own leverage. And my advice is every technology, every drive, every success, I'd always have to be local. There has to be a local input and a local drive for it. If we are to do so much of a copycat, sometimes we run into ditches. There are peculiar things in Nigeria. Otunba just mentioned music. It comes, not that we are, I mean, I think it's come out of the blue that Nigerians now are really developing their skills and mastering the concept of not only making music, but making business out of the music. So that is what I expected. It's going to be a natural gravitation that as they succeeded, then they will get more equity, better understanding, better packaging of the whole industry, and then delivering it to the world. Yeah. I would not say we have to shut it down all the minds of everybody. Particularly, we could even run into a problem of administration. I'll give an instance. There is one of the former governor whom I respected so much, by name, what's his name now? Ayade is a professor. I think he's got about 5 PhD or something.
Yes.
Just looking at his profile of certificate accumulation impresses me. But it's the administration. When I kind of access what is done in 8 years, and even the interviews he gave on his own, I found that the man is nothing but empty when it comes to administration. Absolute empty. Here is somebody who said he committed billions of money into poultry farm. Poultry farming in Cross River State. Billions of money, and he couldn't produce maybe he couldn't produce 1,000 chicken, 1,000 birds. And guess what he gave as an excuse? Oh, we didn't know that maize will be a problem. Can you imagine? That is his own interview. He said we did not anticipate that maize will be. Where was he? How did he look at the feasibility report of the business? How did he come to conclusion that they need to invest taxpayers' money in that kind of a business? And it became horrible. And he saw no reason why he should apologize. In another instance, they asked him what was his achievement in government. He said he was able to pay salary. It's annoying to my senses. How can he claim that paying people who have worked? No,
I'm sorry. I said because others did not pay. So if
it's daunting. It's daunting to my head that somebody I well regarded that much to say such things. I mean, how can he say that I rather hold people that have worked while you are getting your full remuneration, and you want to bask in the euphoria that you have succeeded in paying? It's arrant nonsense to me. And that's why I said, if these things are not locally driven, you could prompt Nigerian government to invest money in doing such a thing, that we should try to promote our food, we should try to promote culture. In the same interview with this gentleman, this honorable, if he's honorable anyway, the same governor, Ayade, he said that they could, the Tinapa and whatever, the Obudu cattle, that one of the problems they had there is the lift is costing about 100,000, 1 million naira to maintain daily or something. Was this not part of the old planning when they were thinking tourism? These are leaders who will commit billions of the resources only for them to come back and give you excuses. You know what? We could not get this thing going again because there is no fuel. Oh, we could not get it again because the car are breaking down. When they were doing the cutting, when they were planning the project, were those problems not anticipated? Were they not planning on how to mitigate such problems? Were there no review? Were there no feasibility study on it of its successes? These are the things that comes to my mind, that if we prompt people that know virtually nothing, but because they are in corridor of power or they are in position of power, are doing this, and then will, because you can't be doing the same thing the same way. I expect a different result. So to me, what I would suggest is good enough to say, because we see Chinese food, Indian food running wide and far from most cities of the world. If it is not our own thing, if it's in a little modicum ways that there are a lot of African restaurants of Nigerian origin in UK. Yeah, in their own little bit, they are doing their substitute. You get it? But if it is something they want to transform into a global brand, yes, let them keep at it. But if we are going to say let there be taxpayers' money funded into it, I have my questions around it. That's
Thank
my
you.
own.
Now let's quickly, the issue of Yoruba Nation. I heard what Chief Saint Shomi said, which resonates with my line of thinking. If we have a loose federalism, for a start, there's nothing wrong in it. We're like it's something similar in many other climes. So 2 or 3 days ago, I was online with someone who was arguing with me that they don't want us to do this. We couldn't do this, and asking the person, I say, what and what couldn't we do? And yes, it may have taken so long to allow each state now to generate powers. And as you can see the problem that the efforts of most of these states is not geared towards what they need to do to excel. So that's the problem. But don't let me start analyzing and seeing exactly what it is. What's your take on? I've asked you 300 times. What's your take about these other regions in the country still want to leave the association or the union or the marriage?
I don't think there is in anybody's interest in any region whatsoever. Well, maybe only the South region, but even for reasons of that could be insecurity, that too might not really make it any delightful for any part of the country to want to break up. It is to me, I believe the idea of secession, I mean, how did they put it? Idea of pulling out of Nigeria, secession, you get it. It could be just for academic purpose. The truth is, Nigeria is better off. Like I said, there is power, there is strength, there is love, there is peace, there is lot we can achieve in our diversity. The only problem is we consider that diversity as an encumbrance. Once people think that, you know what, I have a problem. I have a problem because there's somebody that is my neighbor that is a problem to me because it's an Hausa man. You will not see any good in that person, even if that person is the one that will eventually make you better in life. That is the problem. We're not considering that our diversity is our strength, that we all bring different things to the table, and we can all harmonize those things. We can make a synergy of it and come up with something bigger, better, and more prosperous. And that has given, again, another excuse because of the downturn of the economy. I mean, in the 70s, I don't know anyone that is so much agitating for recession, except even just after we came out of the Civil War. The Civil War in itself, if you look at the history of it, it wasn't so much because of the Eastern wanted to be out of Nigeria. It's because the Eastern felt out of the pogrom. Because when the Northerners pogrom the military and took power, they felt cheated. It was a reactionary thing. It wasn't that over the years the East had been marginalized. No, Ojukwu never campaigned that the East had been marginalized. that over the years from either pre-independence or after independence, that the East had been marginalized. That wasn't his campaign. His campaign was, I look at the hierarchy of the military that is running this government now, and all I can see are people of a particular ethnic group. And even at that, what they have done was to reduce the number by killing, because of that counter coup against Kaduna Zelbu. They have reduced the number of officers from the eastern part of Nigeria. That was the problem. It wasn't about economic emancipation. No, it wasn't about this or that. That was it. That was what predicated the civil war. But now we discover that people who cannot eat will say that it's the Fulani that is making me not to eat. That's the problem. Even when they were eating together before, suddenly because life has had a traumatic change, people now think that it's my neighbor that is the cause of my problem. Particularly if his brother had become a minister and it is the Fulani that are running the group. So it's the Fulani that is making life unbearable. Forgetting that if you get to Kano, Kaduna, Jigawa, Yobe, there's more poverty in the north, even than in the south.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now those are culminating into it. It's desirable for everyone to say that, yes, we want to have our own governance and all that. And like the High Chief said, the beauty of it will have been in a true federalism. A true federalism where those ethnic groups, as well as those aggregates, could develop. It does not even restrict any other members, any citizen of Nigeria from any part of the country from investing or living in that area. The Southeast become prosperous. It does not limit to the fact that somebody in Northeast cannot come to Southeast. No. It will be the bastion of the nation. That, oh, you know what? Automobile industry is booming in the Southeast. Oh, agriculture is booming in the Southwest. Oh, oil and gas is booming in South. Oh, food production and all that is booming in the North. Oh, manganese and copper and that is booming in the Northeast. You get what I'm saying? Yes, we all see that strength. We all see the diversity in us, and then we, out of our creativity, we develop this industry. But where we think that we need to pull one down, that is what will make others succeed, then we must be having something else coming.
Thank you very, very much. One thing I noticed that I've been doing this for many years now. Every time I want to manage the time, even though I try not to interrupt as many times as possible, I want to give my my guests to let them finish their thoughts, say exactly how they feel about matters arising on and about topics that might pose to them. It's still not. And I don't want to start saying like two of my guests already said they agree on one thing. You cannot get to a job and say you don't know how to manage it. It might as well. And I don't want to go back to a bit. So I don't want to say this time next time, but maybe I just leave it fluid. You know, I've done 2 hours just like we have not started. I want to thank you both very, very much. I appreciate you. Like I said, my friend, my very long time friend, we come on very well. We agree. There was a time then where each of these, where do we stand? Should we go north or should we go west? But we finally find a common ground, and I'm very happy to identify myself with a bunch of you. Some people will say that's how I do my own talk show. I love you both. I appreciate you both for coming on the show. I just give High Chief just 1 minute to round up. Again, like I said, don't let me make like you said 2 hours. You do so 1 minute. 1 minute, please, just to round up your experience on the show tonight, and then I quickly give a Shegun Daniels, and then we wrap it up. Thank you very much. Alagbashi, 1 minute, please.
I want to thank you for inviting me to this program again, and I just want to use this opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to give the government time. Whatever must have gone wrong takes time to correct. It's very easy to destroy in one day, but to build takes time. Yeah. You have to the patients. You have to make sure that the government, at the same time, we stay on the neck of the president and his team that they are doing the right thing. We don't give up and say, okay, because we have voted for him, you cannot criticize him. I tell people who are very close to him that I know, I tell them, I said, even I defend your programs, I do everything for you, but if you cross the line, I'm going to tell you the truth. Exactly, because my primary interest is for the greatness of Nigeria, not to an individual. So we need to work towards true federalism and make sure it works for us. Thank you very much, and I enjoy coming here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, as usual, I have so good access to you. We can do another show as many times as possible, and I look forward to that. Check 1 minute, so to make me not to be able to manage my time.
I think what I will admonish the current administration is to be very open and truthful to Nigeria. Where there is a vacuum in explaining or putting your policy before the people, when there is that lacuna, it gives room for speculation and bad blood. If there is a policy that the government is coming up with and is criticized, there's nothing wrong in it in having a review. If you do not want to have a review, come up with a superior argument why that thing will work. Then that chance will be given to you to say, let's see if it works.
Okay.
I'm not a student of giving unlimited time for people to experiment. I've said that the quality of leadership in someone is that person who has articulated a problem before it becomes an emergency.
Okay.
This government should not make our problems become an emergency.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. And like I said, this show is going to get to Ashaju. I can assure you of that. I'm not bragging. It's going to get to him. And I have no doubt in my mind that most of what we expose, whatever we discuss here, is going to be useful. It's going to be one of the information he needs to gather together and start taking some of them to use. We all agree here tonight that there shouldn't be any war. We do not need to go to any war. We don't need it. No war, apart from the people that are going to be killed for nothing. We're not going to get anything for it. We have too much to do. And Ashaju has this opportunity to make Nigeria great again. He can do it. And we will be here to support him, that people will need time to get to where we want to be. So again, I want to thank you very much for coming. It's been my pleasure. I look forward to, I can have you as many times as possible, as long as we are talking what is going to be useful to the country. Again, thank you very much. So viewers, it's been another show. I'm going to go to join my other regular every Sunday show now. So bye-bye for now. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Otunba. Thank you, Aishi. And thank you, viewers at home.
A pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.